we only have so much time on earth and we don't know when we're going to leave it. It's not guaranteed. So I try to make sure that I use my time wisely.
This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good morning, Audrey Rich. Previously, episode 780 of the 12-Minute Convos podcast, which happened just 3 years, 1 month, 18 days, 1 hour, and 15 minutes ago. Then, however, a couple of months, a year and 6 months after, we got to meet face to face in Florida. Today, I get to speak with Audrey again. So that was then. This is now. Audrey, how are you doing today?
Good, fantastic. How are you? How's the family?
They're great, and I am excellent. Thanks for asking. And what about you? I mean, the last time we met, right, we were sitting in a cafe, had an extremely great meal on what was the second day of our journey across the US and Canada. So how are your children?
They're good. My daughter is going to finish high school and she's doing some college courses. Doesn't know what she wants to do for the rest of her life, but who does at that age?
Exactly.
She just turned 17 and so she graduates and then she'll go to the local community. It's a state college now, and do 2 years there and then figure out if she has some clue of what she wants. And she's working. She works for a chicken place, I'll say.
Yeah. Keep it personal, yeah. And then your son, what's up with him?
Okay, our son is graduating from college and he just joined the Navy 2 weeks ago and a day, or 2 days.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's exciting and scary at the same time with, the situation that's going on in the Middle East. But you know what? With prayers, we're leaving it up to God. He's confident that, God has him in his plans. So, in his hands, and there's a plan for everything. So
yeah, two beautiful children. We got to sit with them and have a conversation with them. It was 3 of us at that time: Amanda, myself, and Ryan. Yeah, it was a remarkable opportunity. I think we lost getting to another guest because we were enjoying ourselves so much there that we ran out of time. Now, how is Audrey going?
How is Audrey going? The actual branding of Audrey, my book?
Now I saw Audrey Rich Author. I love that, ARA, right? Is that a development of the brand?
Yeah, well, I put that in because I decided that I wanted people to know that I'm an author, because at first I was just, I was publishing, but now I'm going to make a career out of this.
Sweet.
So I wanted people to do Audrey Rich Author. And then I do also Audrey Rich Pens on Instagram and on Twitter. And so, I started to switch it a little bit. And so that's going pretty well. I have since June, let me see, I have another book. I think I had co-authored a book then, or was just going through the process.
Right.
And then I wrote another novella for another collection, went into a collection for like 7 months, came out, and then went into another collection. So that's coming out in March. So I think then I'm just going to keep it and put it out as myself. And then I am in an exciting project where it's going to be a book released every week.
What?
Yes, and not me just writing it. It's 9 other authors. There's 10 of us. 2 authors are doing 2 seasons. They're called seasons. We each write 4 books in a season, and it's approximately a month. And every chapter is a day in the life of that character.
Who came up with that idea?
This woman named Jo. It's J.A. Armitage, I think is how she pronounced it. But she's from Canada. Brilliant. Her and her personal assistant who are friends, and they live in Canada, so they get to meet each other frequently. And they came up with this whole idea, and there's an overall arc from beginning to end throughout the whole series, and then each book has an arc, and each of the four has its own arc, and they are the happily ever after of 12 different fairy tales. So amazing. I got the Little Mermaid.
Well, you did something on mermaids before, didn't you?
I did the Cinderella. I didn't do any mermaids. I did Cinderella.
Okay.
But this is it's the Little Mermaid, so it's the daughter of the Little Mermaid.
So the Queen Mermaid's book, that was
Queen. Oh yes, that is on Yes, you're right. It's on pre-order. It hasn't been.
There we go. Yeah, I'm on top of my game.
You are. So that is it. That is it. But for me, it's not released because it's not. It's on pre-order. So I have 4 of them, and they are each part of that season. The 4 different books. And so it's pretty interesting. So I have the character Blaze, and I didn't name her. I was given the name Blaze.
Right.
And it's the daughter of the Little Mermaid, which of course, because Disney has that whole Ariel thing, I couldn't use her name. Right. So it's Antonella is the queen, and Prince Eremias is the dad. So he's Prince Eric, if you're looking at Disney Little Mermaid. Yeah, and then Blaze is their daughter, and it has to do with the mer people and everything that's going on. So it's the after the happily ever after, which is not really happily ever after because something happened. So there's a lot of uprising and stuff. So I don't want to give too much away.
Of course, no spoilers. How does it feel, though, to have the opportunity to really expand and exploit your imagination?
Oh, it was amazing because we got a like 3 to 5 or 6 sentences of what needed to be in there, and then the rest was ours. And so, and we did have to have the original fairy tale characters, but we could have killed them, or we could have kept them alive, or we had a lot of latitude of what we could do. And it was just amazing because for the first time I wrote a fight scene. Now my books are very sweet and
romantic.
Romance, and it's students, in high school. So there's no real chance for fighting. But in my last book, of this season, I got to write a fighting scene with swords, and, she wasn't punching because, she's a girl and she's fighting these huge men. But she used her wiles, and she did have some training. So she did have training fighting. I won't say with whom, but, but she did have the training to fight. So she had been training for years on how to fight with swords and her feet, and just how to defend herself. So she did have that. So it was great because it really expanded me as an author.
That's amazing. I would like to know an individual who does get to play with their imaginations as much and then convert it to written words. Is the conversation of death something that is put on the back shelf, or is it in the front of your life when you're living as you are currently?
Oh, it's always there, in terms of that we only have so much time on earth and we don't know when we're going to leave it. Now, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian believer, so I believe that there's an afterlife. But I do know that I have a set amount of time today in this, today is right now, but 3 hours from now, it's not guaranteed. So I try to make sure that I use my time wisely. And, I don't know if I ever told you, but I stopped watching television years ago, especially when I started writing. you have to make time for your priorities.
I love
You have
that.
to prioritize.
I love
things.
that. Yeah, it's like auditing, right? You do the audit, you see where it needs to go, what needs to go where, and then you make the decision to get it done, right?
Exactly. And when I started writing, when I started writing my first book, I was just hungry to get these words out. The characters were ready to come out. And there was no time for television. None at all. And after that, I decided, why am I watching television? For me, it's a waste of time. I know people like to relax, but I love a good book. So I'd rather read a good book and perfect my writing instead of watching TV.
I love that. My friend, it is such a grand opportunity to reconnect with you. It is absolutely inspirational and motivational because you're speaking with someone who has gone and made decisions for the long journey. It's been a couple of years, right? And you're still doing what you said you were going to do. So I want to say thank you for that. And of course, those that are listening get to hear that as well. Audrey Rich, thank you, my friend, so much for doing what you're doing and not giving up. Before we leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Nothing. If they want to check out my books, they can go on Amazon. They're there. Or I have a short story out for free on Barnes & Noble and where else? Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and all those places, for free. So if they want to check out my writing, they could go there for free. And if they have Kindle Unlimited, they could go to Amazon and read for free with the subscription. That's basically it.
All right, my friend. Well, again, a great pleasure. Pleasure I treasure. Thank you for being on What is Inspired, 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. This podcast is produced by Pod Edits. Visit podedits.com for professional podcast publishing.